My wife cheated with my best friend. And now everyone blames me. Reddit stories that hit too hard. Friendship. It's supposed to be sacred. The kind of bond where you've seen each other at your worst, drunk at 3 a.m., crying over breakups, celebrating promotions, weddings, the birth of your first kid. And in the middle of all that trust, there's an unspoken rule. You don't touch each other's person. Period. But what happens? When the person you trust most betrays you in the most personal way possible. Not a stranger, not some affair with a nameless face, but your best friend, and not just anyone. They betray you with your wife, the mother of your child, the woman you built a life with. Today's story isn't just about cheating. It's about broken brotherhood. It's about a man who opened his home to his best friend and never saw the knife coming. We're diving into one of the most gut-wrenching posts from Reddit's infamous r/Am I the Asshole subreddit, a place where thousands share their messiest, most morally complex situations and ask, am I the asshole? Or was I just the last to know? Tyler, 34, from Austin, Texas, thought he was helping his best friend through a divorce. He didn't know that while offering him a place to stay, food on the table, and a shoulder to cry on, the man was getting far too comfortable with Tyler's wife. This one's not just messy, it's personal. So buckle up. This story will test your loyalty, and maybe even your rage. Marcus never thought he'd be that guy. The cheater, the backstabber, and especially not to Dylan, his best friend of nearly 20 years. They'd been through everything together. Graduation, breakups, hangovers. They used to say, nothing could ever come between us. But they never saw her coming. When Dylan got married to Tessa, Marcus was there, giving the best man speech. He called her the calm to Dylan's storm. And at the time, he meant every word. At first, things were just friendly. Dylan would be away on business trips and ask Marcus to check in on her. Then came the dinners. First the three of them, then just the two. One night, it rained. Tessa called Marcus, said a pipe was leaking. He came over, fixed it. She poured wine. They sat in the living room, jazz playing low, city lights flickering outside the window. She started opening up, said Dylan had been distant, always gone, hardly spoke anymore. Marcus listened. He always listened. But this time, it felt different. Her eyes lingered. So did his. And then, she touched his hand. He knew he should have left. He wanted to leave. But when she leaned in, and their lips met, all the guilt, all the hesitation, disappeared into the moment. That night, they crossed a line, and in the morning, she cried. He stayed silent, but neither of them stopped. 1 week became 2, then 3. Secret meetups, erased texts, the thrill, the shame, the rush. Marcus wasn't sure if it was love, or just two lonely people in the wrong place at the wrong time. Then came the mistake. Dylan forgot his iPad at home. Tessa forgot to delete one message. It read, I missed you today. I fell asleep thinking about you. No explicit photos, no heart emojis, but it was enough. Dylan didn't yell, didn't confront Marcus. Instead, he invited him out for drinks, same bar they used to hit back in college. And there, with a single drink between them, Dylan looked him straight in the eyes and said, You were the one person I thought would never hurt me. Then got up and walked away. That was the last time Marcus ever saw him. Now, Marcus is alone. No Tessa, no Dylan, just a Reddit post asking one question. Am I the worst kind of traitor? Or just a man who broke at the loneliest point of his life? You know, in some ways, betrayal isn't always loud. It's not always a knife in the back. Sometimes it's a look, a touch, a moment that lingers a little too long. And sometimes it's just someone standing a little too close to someone they shouldn't. In this story, we're not talking about a random fling. We're talking about something that happened within the tightest circle. Your best friend, your wife, your home. Slight pause. Let it sink in. That's what makes this story so hard to process. It's not just about infidelity. It's about layers of trust being stripped away all at once. Your partner, who promised you forever. Your best friend, who was there through your darkest moments. When both of them break your heart, you don't just lose love. You lose your entire foundation. And here's the twist. This wasn't a one-night accident. It wasn't a drunken mistake. It was emotional intimacy that built up over time. Messages, late-night talks, harmless secrets. The kind that slowly pulls someone away from you without ever touching them. This kind of betrayal hits differently because it's not just about sex. It's about connection. Emotional cheating often hurts more than physical because the person didn't just betray your body. They betrayed your story, your memories, your bond. And it's messy, right? Because some people say, if it wasn't physical, it doesn't count. But others? They say the moment you give someone else the version of you that was meant for your partner, that's already a line you can't uncross. Think about it. Would you be okay if your partner was texting someone every night about their dreams, their fears, their frustrations, and it wasn't you? Would you be okay if you found out they had inside jokes, private photos, little miss you messages with someone you thought was your friend? For a lot of people, that hurts more than a single night of bad decisions. So now we ask, was our guy wrong for feeling like everything fell apart? Or was he finally seeing the truth that had been there all along? A truth hidden in plain sight. This isn't just a story about cheating, it's a story about emotional erosion. And once that starts, it's almost impossible to patch the cracks. Think getting cheated on hurts? Now imagine getting betrayed by both your wife and your best friend. This story tore through Reddit like wildfire. The comments section? A battlefield of emotion. Some were furious, some tried to understand, and others just wanted to slam the table and scream on behalf of the OP. Let's dive into the top-voted comments. Be warned, some will make you nod in agreement, others might punch you in the gut. Top comment: cold, honest, and brutal. If your best friend sleeps with your wife, he's not your friend. And if your wife lets it happen, she's no longer your partner. Simple. Cut them both off. No second chances. 19.8K upvotes. No fluff, no sugar coating. Just the raw truth. When someone breaks the very core of trust, there's no reason to negotiate. Because there's nothing left to rebuild. The I've been there perspective. I forgave my ex once, thinking everyone makes mistakes. 3 months later, she hooked up with my best friend. I only live by one rule now. First time, it's their fault. Second time, it's mine. Thumbs up, 15.4K upvotes. This one hurts, because it's real. Forgiveness is beautiful. But if you give it to the wrong person, it turns into self-destruction. And the worst part? You blame yourself for trying to be kind. The psychological take. Cheating doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts with a look held a second too long, a late-night text, a feeling that they get me more than my spouse ever did. That's where the line starts to blur. 13.1K upvotes. Ooh, that one hits hard. Physical betrayal is just the last domino to fall. The real cheating? It starts with connection. The kind you hide, The kind you know would hurt your partner if they ever saw it? From someone who lived it. I lost both my wife and my best friend in 1 year. They got married and sent me a wedding invite. Not to be kind, but to rub it in. I didn't go. Now I'm 10 times happier. And they're divorced. 11.7K upvotes. This one. It's painful and empowering. Sometimes your greatest peace comes after the storm. When the ones who hurt you reveal their true colors, and you realize you're finally free of them. The sarcastic realist. Your best friend accidentally slept with your wife? Nah. This isn't a Netflix drama. This is just a bad episode with trash characters. You deserve a rewrite. Without them. 10.5K upvotes. Reddit doesn't hold back. And sometimes that's exactly what you need. This one's part joke, part truth, and all fire. You're not a background character in your own life. Time to flip the script. A stranger's comforting wisdom. You're not alone. Infidelity feels like the whole world collapsing. But one day, this break will be the reason you build something stronger. You'll rise, without the dead weight. 9.8K upvotes. That's the kind of comment that feels like a quiet hug in the middle of chaos. Reddit can be brutal, but sometimes someone reaches out through a screen and reminds you you're going to be okay. Final thoughts on the comments. Reddit spoke. Loudly, sharply, but sometimes gently too. And now it's your turn. Could you ever forgive someone for cheating, especially when it's your best friend and your spouse involved? What hurts more, losing love or losing loyalty? If it were you, what would you do? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and who knows, your take might be featured in the next episode. She invited me to her wedding. Then cried when I brought a date. Do you believe in unfinished love? The kind that never really ends, even after you walk away? The kind that hides in the quiet moments, when your world is supposed to feel complete, but something still aches? This woman thought she was ready to move on. She wasn't 20 anymore. She didn't believe in soulmates or happy ever afters. She believed in stability, in kindness, in a future she could build, stone by stone. So when she met Daniel, she didn't hesitate. He was everything her ex wasn't. Reliable, grounded, good. And that felt safe. So she said yes. Yes to the ring. Yes to the life. Yes to a man who loved her with everything he had. But what she didn't realize was that love, real love, doesn't disappear just because you said yes to someone else. 2 months into the marriage, on a random Tuesday morning, she typed out a message. Hey, do you still remember that night in Dalat? The rain, the guitar, the broken motorbike? I laughed about it yesterday. I hope you're doing well. She stared at the message for 10 full minutes, her fingers hovering over the send button. She told herself, it's just nostalgia. It doesn't mean anything. But deep down, she knew exactly what she was doing. Because you don't think of someone like that. If you've truly moved on, and that's where our story begins. A married woman, a memory she couldn't let go, and a quiet message that would reopen everything she tried so hard to bury. What followed was a flood of emotion, guilt, confusion, longing, and the one terrifying question no married person wants to ask. What if I chose the wrong person? Reddit exploded when she shared her story. I'm not cheating. I haven't even seen my ex. But why does my heart beat faster when he texts back than when my husband kisses me goodnight? Some comments were savage. Others were heartbreakingly empathetic. And the rest? Pure chaos. But before we jump into the storm, let's rewind. Let's go back to the beginning. Because this isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about what happens when your past comes knocking, after you've already said, I do. Coming up in part 2, we follow her emotional spiral, from one innocent text to a full-blown emotional affair. And the moment she realized, Daniel may have her hand, but someone else still holds her heart. 4 years. That's how long it had been since Daniel last saw Hannah. No fights, no closure, just a quiet ending. She left like a whisper, one of those goodbyes you don't even realize was a goodbye until weeks later, when the silence becomes permanent. Daniel had moved on, or at least that's what he told himself. He had a good life now, a stable job, a warm apartment, a girlfriend who loved him in the way he always said he wanted, kind, present, uncomplicated. But it's funny, isn't it, how the past doesn't ask permission before it comes knocking. Because one night, just after midnight, he got a message that made his heart skip in a way it hadn't in years. Hey, I know this is random, but I thought of you today. 10 words. That's all it took. He stared at it for almost an hour. Read it. Reread it. Locked his phone. Unlocked it again. He didn't know how to respond, or if he even should. This was Hannah, the girl who had once known his soul, who vanished without explanation, who became a ghost in his memories. And now here she was, alive again, in pixels. He waited until morning before replying, and when he did, he kept it casual, friendly, polite. But inside, it was like watching smoke curl from a flame he thought had died. That quiet warmth, that uneasiness, that pull. Their first few messages were simple. How have you been? Do you still live in the city? Remember that coffee place we used to go to? Then came the deeper ones. I still have the playlist you made me. I miss talking to you. You were the only person who really knew me back then. Each message felt like a thread, pulling him slowly, gently, back into a space he thought he'd outgrown. And here's the thing. Daniel didn't plan for anything to happen. But there's a danger in the what if. There's power in the words you don't say out loud. He didn't tell his girlfriend that Hannah had reached out. He told himself there was no need. It was nothing serious. But then came the nightly texts, the I can't sleep, want to talk messages, the voice notes, the subtle jokes only they would get. She sent him a photo of an old book they used to read together. He sent back a selfie from the coffee shop where they used to sit for hours. They started using nicknames again. Little inside phrases. A shared world. A private one. And slowly, Daniel noticed a shift. He'd start his mornings checking for Hannah's messages before his girlfriend even said good morning. He'd smile at texts he'd never show her. He began telling Hannah things he hadn't told anyone else in months. His girlfriend noticed, of course. She wasn't naive. She asked why he was always distracted. He said he was just stressed from work. But deep down, he knew exactly what was happening. He wasn't physically cheating. There were no confessions of love. But still, he had crossed into a space that didn't belong to him anymore. And it hit him one evening, when his girlfriend walked into the room and he quickly turned his phone face down. That moment, that tiny reflex, that's when he knew this wasn't harmless anymore. Because emotional loyalty is still loyalty. And sometimes, the heart wanders long before the body does. So now the question is Daniel really at fault? Or is it human to wonder what could have been? If your past reaches out and offers comfort, do you walk away? Or do you answer, just to feel something again? This story might sound simple on the surface. A guy gets a wedding invitation from his ex-girlfriend. He decides to go, Not alone, but with his new girlfriend. That's it. No drama, no scene, no bitter words. But by the end of the night, he's being called cruel, heartless, by the bride's friends, by mutuals who used to know them both. So, who's really at fault? Let's start with the big question. What does it mean to invite your ex to your wedding? Some people would say it's a sign of maturity, that you've moved on, that you're at peace, and you want to share your joy without erasing the past. But others might argue, why invite someone who used to hold your heart into a room where you're now promising it to someone else? Is it really about sharing joy, or just performing closure? And then we have the main character's response. I went with my girlfriend because I had nothing to hide. A choice that seems honest, even respectful. But it's that exact decision, showing up hand in hand with someone new, that stirred up the quiet tension, the awkward glances, the whispered judgment. Maybe it wasn't about what he did, but how quickly he seemed to have moved on. Maybe, in their eyes, he should have come alone, as someone who once mattered, but now respects the distance. Or maybe he shouldn't have come at all, because his presence, no matter how quiet, was still a reminder of a version of the bride that no longer exists. And reminders like that don't always feel good, especially on a day that's supposed to feel perfect. But let's flip the question. Why did she invite him in the first place? Why open that door, only to be hurt when he walks through it? If it was truly the end, why bring him into one of the most emotional days of her life? So the bigger question is, do we really accept our pasts, or do we only try to manage them in a way that makes us feel in control? Wrapping up the analysis, setting up for the comment section. So now I ask you, if you were in his shoes, would you attend your ex's wedding? And if you were the bride, would you even send that invitation? Let me know in the comments, because up next, we're diving into Reddit's hottest takes on this situation. From brutal truths to compassionate confessions, and everything in between. Talking is just the beginning. The comment section is where the real stories come out. And hey, your opinion might be the one we highlight in the next episode. Reddit absolutely exploded over this story. Some called him the most composed man in emotional chaos. Others said he was cruel for reopening an old wound with a +1. Let's dive into the top comments and see what the internet really thought of this emotional roller coaster. Top voted comment: cold, clear, brutal truth. She invited him. He came. With a date. That's it. If she didn't want to see her ex happy with someone else, then maybe don't send the invite. Simple as that. Thumbs up. 21.3K upvotes. You know what? There's something powerful about cutting through the noise like this. No one forced her to send that invitation. But once she did, it was game on. The sympathetic view. Team bride. Maybe she was just trying to be polite. Maybe she needed closure. But him showing up with a girlfriend? On her wedding day? That had to sting. Thumbs up, 14.8. K upvotes. This one hits a little softer. It's not wrong. Maybe she truly wasn't ready for the reality of what closure can actually look like. The deep psychological insight. Testing the past. Some invitations aren't about celebration. They're about confirmation. She needed to know if he'd moved on. And when he walked in with someone else, that's when her illusion cracked. 11.2K upvotes. Oof, that one hurts in a quiet, soul-level kind of way. Sometimes we reach out to the past, not for peace, but for proof. And when we get the answer, we realize we weren't ready. The personal story. Been there, done that. I invited my ex to my wedding once. He came with someone else. I smiled. I toasted. I broke down crying that night. Don't do it unless you've really moved on. 9.9K upvotes. And this is the raw truth. Sometimes the cost of trying to be the bigger person is a breakdown no one sees. She might have wanted peace, but she walked right into pain. The sarcastic realist, no sugarcoating, I just wanted to show him I was over it. And then she saw him with someone new and had a meltdown? Come on. We all know she wasn't ready. 8.1K upvotes. Reddit doesn't hold back. And honestly, there's truth here. Don't invite your ex unless you're okay seeing them smile with someone who isn't you. The rational, mature perspective, he did nothing wrong. He respected the invite. He didn't cause drama. He didn't pretend. If she wasn't emotionally ready for that, that's not his fault. 7.7K upvotes. This is the voice of maturity right here. He didn't lie. He didn't flaunt anything. He just showed up respectfully. And that's what growth can look like, even when it's uncomfortable. Narrator wrap-up. So there you have it. Reddit's best takes, from brutal honesty to deeply relatable heartbreak. But now, it's your turn. Would you go to your ex's wedding? Do you think he crossed a line? Or was it her mistake to invite him in the first place? Leave your take in the comments, and if it's fire, we just might feature it in the next episode. Subscribe for more stories just like this. Emotional cheating hurts more than you think. Reddit explains why. Have you ever had a moment when your whole body goes still? Not because of what you saw, but because of what you felt? Like something deep inside you, that instinct we often ignore, suddenly screams, "Something's not right." That's where Adam found himself. One minute, he was scrolling through his messages, half distracted, half exhausted after work. The next, he saw a single photo, a selfie of his girlfriend, Lily, with a guy he didn't recognize. It was nothing inappropriate, just two people smiling. But there was something about the way she looked at the camera, something about how close they were, and most of all, something about the caption. Late nights at the library aren't so bad after all. Adam didn't want to jump to conclusions. He told himself, don't overthink. She's just helping a friend study. But the truth? Lily had never mentioned this friend. Not once. And in a relationship that had lasted over 4 years, where they'd once told each other everything, that silence spoke volumes. So Adam did what most people in his situation might do. He started watching, not snooping, not accusing, just noticing. The late-night texts, the sudden need for space, the way she turned her phone away when he walked by. And slowly, piece by piece, his world started to unravel. This isn't just a story about cheating. It's a story about emotional distance, about that quiet space where love used to live, and the person who now fills it, without you ever knowing their name. So buckle in. Because what Adam discovers next will leave you asking yourself, would I have done the same? At first, Adam tried to brush it off. He told himself he was being paranoid, insecure. He wanted to believe Lily. They'd been through so much together. College stress, family losses, long-distance stretches. If there was anyone he trusted with his heart, it was her. But trust doesn't stop your mind from noticing patterns. And over the next few weeks, those patterns only got louder. It started small. Lily started dressing a little differently when she said she was heading to the library. Not overly flashy, just intentional. A touch of lipstick, a spritz of perfume she didn't usually wear for study nights. Adam noticed she started locking her phone, even though she'd never cared before. And when he asked how her study sessions were going, she always kept it vague. It's just cramming, super boring. But there was something in her eyes, hesitation, like she was picking her words too carefully. So one night, Adam did something he never thought he would. He waited for her to fall asleep, heart pounding in his chest, and checked her phone, not to invade, but to know. And there it was. A name, Jason. Dozens of messages, scattered over weeks. Some harmless, some not. There were jokes, emojis, memes only they understood. A selfie of her and Jason with the caption, "My study partner is better than yours." And one message that made Adam's stomach drop. "Wish you were here instead of him tonight." It wasn't physical. There were no explicit photos, no confessions of love. But it was intimate. It was personal. It was the version of Lily that used to belong to him. The version that used to send him those sweet texts, laugh at his dumb memes, stay up at 2 a.m. talking about life, dreams, fears. And now? That version had been quietly given away to someone else. When Adam confronted her the next morning, Lily didn't yell, didn't run. She just sat there, staring at the floor, silent, almost ashamed. She said she didn't mean for it to happen. Said she didn't realize how far it had gone until it was too late. She told Adam he'd been distant lately, that their relationship felt heavy. And talking to Jason? It made her feel light again, seen. But she swore, over and over again, that it never became physical, that she never stopped loving Adam, that she'd end it, block him, delete everything if it meant she could fix what they had. But Adam, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was too late, that she had already handed over a piece of her heart to someone else. Because sometimes the real betrayal isn't in what's done, it's in what's shared. And Jason? He had the parts of Lily that Adam used to hold close, the late-night thoughts, the private laughs, the emotional safety. So now Adam's left with the hardest question of all. Is it still cheating if she never touched him? Or worse, is emotional betrayal something you ever truly recover from? Emotional cheating. It sounds less serious than physical betrayal, doesn't it? No kissing, no hotel rooms, no obvious, undeniable proof. But you know what? It's that very subtlety that makes it dangerous. It's the gray area that allows people to convince themselves, I haven't done anything wrong. Let's break this down. Lily didn't kiss Jason. She didn't sleep with him. She didn't cheat in the classic sense. But she gave him her time, her attention, her emotions. She chose him to laugh with, to vent to share her secrets with. Things that should have belonged to Adam. And the moment you start hiding messages, deleting conversations, saying things like, he's just a friend, but your gut knows that's not true, that's when it stops being innocent. Emotional intimacy isn't a game. It's the foundation of any relationship. It's the glue. It's the place where two people feel safe enough to be fully themselves. And when you give that to someone else, you're no longer just venting. You're investing. That's why emotional cheating is so controversial, because it's hard to prove. But the pain, the betrayal, it's just as real. And then there's Lily saying, I didn't mean to. I just felt lighter when I talked to Jason. Familiar, isn't it? That's how it starts. Someone makes you feel more heard, more seen. And instead of fixing that with your partner, you take the shortcut. You build a secret space with someone new. And here's the real heartbreak. Adam still loves her. And that's what hurts most. Not the messages, not the laughs, but the fact that when Lily needed to share her real thoughts, she didn't choose him. That's the kind of abandonment that doesn't scream. It whispers, and it lingers. So here's the question. Would you forgive someone who emotionally connected with someone else, but never crossed the physical line? Or is it true that once the heart has left, the body might as well go too? Reddit. Oh, Reddit did not hold back on this one. Emotional betrayal is one of those things that lights a fire under everyone, because we've either lived it, feared it, or caused it. Let's dive into the top comments and see just how divided the internet is over Lily and Adam's story. The brutal honesty, no sugarcoating. If you feel the need to delete the messages, you're already cheating. Doesn't matter if nothing physical happened. Deception is deception. 18.3K upvotes. Boom! Straight to the point. And you know what? They're not wrong. If you wouldn't show it to your partner, maybe it's not as harmless as you think. Secrets are where betrayal is born. The therapist in training take Lily clearly needed emotional support, but instead of going to her partner, she went to someone new. That's not just miscommunication. That's a shift in loyalty. 14.7K upvotes. Now this one cuts deeper. It's not just about talking, it's about choosing who you turn to when things get tough. That choice reveals everything. The Angry Realist. Stop calling it a mistake. You don't accidentally message someone for months. You don't randomly hide a conversation. That's maintenance. That's effort. Thumbs up. 13.1K upvotes. Oof. Someone's been burned before, huh? But hey, they're not wrong. Emotional cheating isn't a one-time slip. It's built, one small compromise at a time. The personal heartbreak story. My ex had a friend like this. I was told I was insecure, jealous, overthinking it. A year later, she married the guy. Trust your instincts, Adam. Thumbs up. 10.9K upvotes. That right there is why so many people see emotional cheating as worse. The denial, the gaslighting, the way it's always nothing until it becomes everything. The sarcastic realist. She felt lighter after talking to Jason. Of course she did. It's easy to feel light when you're emotionally unloading on someone without the weight of accountability. 9.4. Upvotes. Reddit does not play. That one's sharp, but fair. Feeling lighter isn't always healing. Sometimes it's just shifting the emotional burden to someone new. So there you have it. Reddit came in swinging. Some folks sympathized with Lily, saying she was lost, lonely, and just needed connection. Others, they saw it for what it was, an emotional exit from her relationship before she ever walked out the door. And now, it's your turn. Do you believe emotional cheating is as serious as physical cheating? Would you forgive someone who connected deeply with someone else, but never touched them? Or is emotional betrayal the kind that never heals? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading everything, and if your take's bold enough, we might feature it in the next episode. Like, subscribe, and stay locked in for more stories. Because heartbreak, healing, and hard truths, they're just getting started here.